Hello and welcome to another Pearls of Wisdom, number 4 this time. Continuing on from Siluanús, pages 29 to 40 on the tablet, and footnotes and cross-references. Be blessed in Yahweh Yahushua. Alright, everyone, no one looks at him, but the anointed Yahushua, without being jealous, receives and gives. Sees and gives. He is the light of the Father, as he gives light without being jealous. In this manner he gives light to every place. And all is the anointed Yahushua, he who has inherited all from the existent one. For the anointed Yahushua is the ideal of incorruptibility. And he is the light which is shining, undefiled, because the true luminary orb shines on every imperial place, and yet it is not defiled. So it is within the anointed Yahushua. Even if he is the deficiency, yet he is without deficiency. And even if one has been begotten, he is still unborn. So it is within the anointed Yahushua. If in one part he is comprehensible, in the other he is incomprehensible, with respect to his actual being, the anointed Yahushua is all. He who does not possess all is unable to know the anointed Yahushua. My son, do not dare to say a word against this one, and do not confine the mighty ones of all to mental images, so one who condemns him might not be condemned by the one who condemns. Indeed, it is good to ask and to discern who Yahweh is. Reason, in brackets logic, and mind, in brackets the spirit of truth, are male names. Indeed, let him who wishes to know about this one quietly and reverently ask, for there is no small danger in speaking about these things, since you know that you will be judged on the basis of everything that you say. Matthew, chapter 12, 36-37. So I say to you that every idle utterance, seen in Yeshayahu 16:6, whatsoever those humans may speak, they shall render a motive concerning it in a day of judgment. For from your words you shall be justified, or from your words you shall be condemned. Back to Siluanús. And understand by this that one who is in the darkness will not be able to see anything, unless he accepts the light and recovers his sight by means of it. Examine yourself to see whether you entirely have the light, so that if you ask about these things, you may understand how you escape darkness, in brackets. For many are seeking into darkness, and they grope about, wishing to understand, since no light is there for them. My son, do not allow your mind, in brackets the spirit of truth, to stare downward, but rather let it look by means of the light at things above. For the light will always come from above. Even if it, in brackets the mind, is upon the earth, let it seek to pursue the things above. Enlighten your mind with the light of the heavens, so that you may turn towards the light of the heavens. Do not tire of knocking on the door of reason, brackets logic, and do not cease walking in the way of the anointed Yahushua. Walk in it so that you may receive rest from your labours. If you walk in another way, there will be no profit in it. For also those who walk in the broad way will go down at their end to the perdition of the mere. For the underworld Sheol is open wide for the self-nefesh, and the place of perdition is broad. Except anointing Yahushua, the narrow way, for he is oppressed for your sin, and bears the affliction. O self-nefesh, persistent one, is what non-acknowledgement you exist. For who is your guide in the darkness? How many likenesses did the anointed Yahushua take on because of you? Although he was Yahweh, he was found among men as a man. He descended to the underworld, Sheol. He released the children from death. They were in suffering, as the scripture of Yahweh had said. And he sealed up the very, in brackets, very, heart of it, in brackets, the underworld Sheol. And he broke its, in brackets, Sheol, strong bowels completely. And when all the powers had seen him, they fled, so that he might bring you, O wretched, disfavoured one, up from the abyss. In 1 Moshe 2:2 and 2 Moshe 20:11, and might die for you as a ransom for your sin. 1 Moshe 2. Yet of Israel, one without regard for the mighty one of Aaron, the light-bringer, 2 Moshe 32, shall not have finished among the ones of Israel the 6th day, concerning the tasks of his son, which this one shall have worked for Israel. So he shall not make a sensation the 7th day to lift you, Israel, up out from a place. Every one that is not of Satan is of the works of Yahushua. Of him the son, which is this one, shall have worked. 2 Moshe 20:11. LXXM adds Strong's 1808 here in agreement with cross-references. He saved you from the strong hand of the underworld, but you yourself, through it be difficult, give to him your fundamental assent with, in brackets, even so much as, a hint that he may take you up with joy. Now the fundamental choice, which is humility of heart, is the gift of the anointed Yahushua. A contrite heart is the acceptable offering. If you humble yourself, you will be greatly exalted, and if you exalt yourself, you will be exceedingly humbled. My son, guard yourself against the wickedness. Zacchaeus 5:3-11, 2 Thessalonians 2:10. And do not let the spirit of the wickedness cast you down into the abyss, for he is mad and bitter. Hosea 9:7. So Zacchaeus 5:3-11 plus footnotes. And he said to me, this is a curse, Ha-Allah, which is going out over the face of all of the land, because everyone stealing from this, removing his name, Songs 50:18, Yirmiyahu 23:30-32, Ephesians 4:28, according to her disclosure, 22:18-19, he shall be erased, and everyone being sated from this, according to her, he shall be erased. Glad tidings of truth to the Inverm 9:27. And to the Inverm 9:27. Verse 4, I will dispatch her out, declares Yahweh of hosts, and she will enter into the house of the thief. Hosea 7:1 and Yakahan 10, and 10:1-10. And into the house of the one being surfeited against my name for the lie. And she will lodge in the midst of his house, and she will destroy it with its timbers and its stones. Title heading for verse 5 onwards to it's like verse 5 right through to 11. It says, there's a couple of titles, sorry. The wickedness lamp darkness, the dishonoured measure is exiled from the land. Then the envoy, the one dictating with me, went out to me, and he said to me, lift, please, your eyes and see. What is this one going abroad? And I said, what is she? And he said, this is the measuring basket which is good abroad. Yeshayahu 5:18, Hosea 12:7-8. And he said, this is their vision source throughout all of the land. Matthew 6:22-23. And there was lifted up a round weight of lead. And this certain woman is dwelling within the midst of the measuring basket. And he said, this is the wickedness, the Ha-Risha, as seen in Hosea 9:7, 2 Thessalonians 2:10. Footnote 26, Strong's 07646, not 7650, a difference of hour points. Footnote 27, throughout the history of this flowing scroll, name-censored scriptures, it's depriving people of his name results in their being recycled to get another opportunity to hear it, to make a decision. Thus that lifetime is erased. 28. Footnote 28, Strong's 07646, not 7650, a difference of hour points. Another title. Then he threw her to the inside of the measuring basket, and he cast the lead weight, his house. Yahoo 12:17-22, in her, the measuring basket mouth. That's its title, I think. Number 9. Then I lifted up my eyes, and I saw, and there were two women going out, and the wind was in their wings, and the wings belonged to them, were like the wings of the stork, and they carried off the measuring basket between the land and the skies. Then I said to the envoy, the one dictating with me, to where are they carrying away the measuring basket? And he said to me, to build for her a house in the land of Sonar. Yeshar 7:43, 1 Moshe 11:1-9. When it will be ready then she'll be rested there upon her base. Yeshayahu 37:7, Daniel 11, Daniel 11:44, and 2 Thessalonians 2:8. Footnote 29 and 30 here. 29, meaning through the atmosphere, the same expression used in Ezekiel 8:3, and 30, traditionally misspelled Shinar. Yasha 7:43 explains its derivation. 2 Thessalonians 2:10, and within every deception of the wickedness among the ones that are being exterminated, Hosea 9:7 and Matthew 7:13 and Yeshayahu 10:21-23, which is in the place of the affectionate love of the truth, they did not accept for them to be rescued. Footnote 14, a form of Strong's 473 anti, the love for the lie is opposite to and instead of the love for the truth, substituting it. Verse 7, the days of the reckoning, verse 7, verse 7 of Hosea 9:7. Hosea 9:7. Just had to add that in because I haven't published this post yet because I got the video to go with it. And I just realised that I didn't title this one. Footnote 55 from that one. Generally translated as fool, the lexicon definition says this to be foolish, subst, of one who despises wisdom, of one who mocks when guilty, of one who is quarrelsome, of one who is licentious. Back to Siluanús. He is terrifying and he casts everyone down into a pit of mire. It is a great and good thing not to love fornication, sexual sin, and not even to think of the wretched matter at all. For to think of it is death. It is not good for any man to fall into death, for himself, nefesh, in brackets, which has been found in death will be without reason, in brackets logic. For it is better not to live than to acquire an animal's life. Protect yourself, lest you are burned by the fires of fornication, sexual sin. For many who are submerged in fire as its servants, whom you do not recognize as your enemies, O my son, strip off the old garment of fornication, the sexual sin, and put on the garment which is clean and shining, that you may be beautiful in it. But when you have this garment, protect it well. Release yourself from every bond, so that you may acquire freedom. If you cast out of yourself the desire whose strategies are many, you release yourself from the sins of desire. Listen, O self-nefesh, to my advice. Do not become a den of foxes and snakes, nor a hole of serpents and asps, nor a dwelling place of lions, or a place of refuge of basilisks, snakes, or, in brackets, harbour archon parasites. When these things happen to you, O self-nefesh, what will you do? For these are the powers of the adversary. Everything which is dead will come into you through them, the powers. For their food is everything which is dead, and every unclean thing. For when these are within you, what living thing will come into you? The living indoors will detest you. You are a capacitor, a temple, but you have made yourself a tomb. Cease being a tomb and become again a capacitor, a temple, so that uprightness and the mighty ones may remain in you. Light the light within you, do not extinguish it, certainly. No one lights a lamp for wild beasts or their young. Raise your dead, guardians, who have died, for they lived and have died for you. Give them life. They shall live again, for the tree of life is the anointed Yahushua. He is the wisdom, because he is the wisdom. He is also the word Yahushua. He is the life, the power, and the door. He is the light, the envoy, and the good pastor. Entrust yourself to this one, who becomes all for your sake. Knock on yourself as upon a door, and walk upon yourself as on a straight road, in brackets spiritual alignment to him. For if you walk on the way, it is impossible for you to go astray. And if you knock with this one, in brackets wisdom, you knock on hidden treasures. For since he, in brackets the anointed Yahushua, is the wisdom, he makes a senseless man wise. He, in brackets Yahushua, is a pure kingdom and a shining robe, brackets the garment. For it, in brackets the garment, is much gold, which gives you great honour. The wisdom of Yahweh became a type of senselessness for you, so that he might take you up, O senseless one, and make you a wise man. And the life died for you when he was powerless, so that through his death he might give life to you who have died. Entrust yourself to reason, in brackets logic, and remove yourself from the animalism. For the animal which has no reason, the logic, is made manifest, for many think that they have reason, the logic. But if you look at them attentively, their speech is animalistic. Give yourself gladness from the true vine of the anointed Yahushua. Satisfy yourself with the true wine, in which there is no drunkenness nor error. For it, the true wine, marks the end of drinking, since there is usually in it what gives joy to the self nefesh, and your mind for the spirit of Yahweh. But first, nurture your reasoning powers before you drink of it, the true wine. Do not pierce yourself with the sword of sin. Do not burn yourself, O wretched, in brackets disfavoured one, with the fire of desire. Do not surrender yourself to archons, the barbarians like a prisoner, nor to savage beasts, which want to trample upon you. For they as lions which roar very loudly, be not dead, lest they trample upon you. You should become manly. It is possible for you through reasoning, logic to conquer them, but exists a man the Aish who does nothing is unworthy of being called rational man. The rational man is he who acknowledges Yahweh. He who acknowledges Yahweh does. Footnote 12, 13 and 14. 12 Strong's 0964 is generally traditionally translated by the establishment as temple, but it has this forgotten different meaning arrived at examining the term, and refers to the personhood of Yahweh, or one in whom he made reside, not a physical building made by hands in which he would not stoop to reside. Footnote 13 is the same, and footnote 14. Early alteration found both in LXX and Masoretic, where originals said acknowledge Yahweh, were changed to fear Yahweh. Acknowledge Yahweh to fear Yahweh, which was a change of one letter in miswriting. Miswriting a D, and it shows, if you read the article containing to this post, you'll see what it shows. The Hebrew letter as, or an R, which is shows what the Hebrew letter is. They're quite similar. Early alteration found both in LXX and Masoretic, where originals said acknowledge Yahweh, were changed to fear Yahweh, which was a change of one letter in miswriting. Nothing insolent, and he who guards himself against doing anything insolent is... back to Siluanús. Nothing insolent, and he who guards himself against doing anything insolent is one who keeps his guarding. Principality, the mind, the spirit of truth. Although he is a man who exists on earth, he makes himself like Yahweh, and he who makes himself like Yahweh is one who does nothing unworthy of Yahweh, according to the statement of Paulus, who has become like the anointed Yahushua, for who shows reverence for Yahweh while not wanting to do things which are pleasing to him. For devotion is that which is from the heart, and devotion from the heart characterizes every self-nefesh which is near to you, Yahweh. The self-nefesh, which is a member of Yahweh's household, is one which is kept pure, and the self-nefesh which is put on the anointed Yahushua is one which is pure. It is impossible for it to sin. Now where the anointed Yahushua is, their sin is idle. Let the anointed Yahushua alone enter your world, and let him bring to naught all powers which have come upon you. Let him enter the capacitor of the temple, which is within you, so that he may cast out all the merchants. Let him dwell in the capacitor. Capacitor, meaning, footnote 17 here, Strong's 01964 is generally traditionally translated by the establishment as temple, but is this begotten different meaning arrived at examining the term, and refers to the personhood of Yahweh. Back to Siluanús. Temple which is within you, may you become for him a priest and a Lewe, entering impurity. Blessed are you, O self-nefesh, if you find this one in your capacitor, your temple. Blessed are you still more if you perform his service. But he who will defile the capacitor temple of Yahweh, that one Yahweh will destroy. Yehuphah, Proverbs 19:19 and 1 Corinthians 3:17. For you lay yourself open to this man. If you cast this one out of your capacitor, the temple, for whenever the enemies do not see the anointed Yehoshua in you, then they will come into armed in order to crush you. O my son, I have given you orders concerning these things many times, so that you would always guard yourself, nefesh. It is not you who would cast him, the anointed Yehoshua, out, but he who would cast you out. For if you flee from him, you will fall into great sin again. If you flee from him because of but yeah, I'll be finishing on from there in Wisdom number 4. But anyway, we've got to share a couple of footnotes and Proverbs 19:19 and finger up 1 Corinthians 3:17. Yep, and more footnotes. Okay, so Proverbs 19:19, the evil-minded existent man, the Yoesh, shall suffer much loss. For if ever of Yahweh he might be injurious of Israel, for not of the one is his life, nefesh. Yet the testimony of the Son will add it to Israel. Add it to Israel. 21:18 and Romans 10:9-10, 1 Corinthians 3:11-17, Matthew 18, Lakwa 15:1-10, Teom 107, Glad Tidings of the Truth. Footnote 118 here reads, if you're reading this article that's contained with the video, you'll see what it reads instead of the Masoretic term, and it shows you what Masoretic term it should be. It's a scribal dyslexia. 119, Strong's 05749 in the definition relating to 5707, not the again translation. 1 Corinthians 3:17, if anyone ruin the temple building of Yahweh, Yahweh shall ruin this one. For the temple building of Yahweh is pure, which one ye are. Also like referring to Proverbs 19:19 as above. Footnote 18, Strong's 01964 is generally traditionally translated by establishment as temple. I've read this one, it's about the personhood of Yahweh. 19 is the same and 20 is the same. Thank you very much for watching. May you be blessed. Shabbat Shalom. To all those that are celebrating the Shabbat, mine was yesterday as I'm here in Australia, but for those overseas we're celebrating the Shabbat today, Shabbat Shalom. And may Yahweh Yahushua bless you, and may you grow in wisdom and knowledge. Amen.